Hey y'all, Jamie with Country Diggers here. I'm going to do something a little different and a little fun. Well, it's not really different. It's a history on, history. But this is television history. And this is called The Bizarre Fan Theory on Scooby Doo. Okay? And then after the video, I got a mail call from Kay's Digging It, so stay tuned for that too. All right, here we go, y'all. The Bizarre Fan Theory on Scooby Doo. An article by Stacy Grant in the MTV interview, December 2015, interviewed a Reddit user who has their own theory on how a dog could speak English. And Shaggy, Velma, and Fred, and Daphne acted like it was totally normal. Even when other characters would ask, "That dog can talk?" But Scooby-Doo first graced our TV screens with his show Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In 1969, which of course now makes the canine 53 years old. For half a century, the Great Dane's been making us laugh and reminding us that man is the true monster in the world. Okay. Yep, that's kind of true. But anyway, the original Scooby-Doo show never explained how Scooby could talk. Most people just shrugged it off as a cartoon. But the theory is Scooby was bred as a super intelligent test subject for the Soviets' space program. Okay, believe it or not, there seems to be more actual evidence to support this kooky theory. So get your magnifying glasses and your Scooby snacks. I got my Scooby snacks. And get ready because we are going sleuthing. All right, y'all. And I'm fixing to turn the camera around and show y'all some Scooby memorabilia. All right, we will get back to the story in just a moment. I just wanted to show y'all my Scooby collection here. I got 2 cups right here. When you run out of Scooby snacks, that's how you're supposed to look and act, okay? When you run out of Scooby snacks. But I'm not running out of Scooby snacks because I got mine right here. The graham cracker Scooby snacks, the cinnamon, and they taste pretty good, y'all. They really do. They taste pretty good. And I got the Scooby Doo Escape Haunted Mountain right here from the Haunted Mountain Escape. I bought that game a couple of weeks ago. We got to play that game one day. We got to play it. And then I got another Scooby right here, Scooby Cup. It says Zoinks, like wow, Scooby Doo. Zoinks, Jeepers, Zoinkies. And I got my mystery van, the mystery van, which is pretty cool right here. All right. And then I got another mystery van right here, which is not the original. That's the original. That one's the original. But I got that mystery van too. And I got my Scooby-Doo police car right here. Scooby-Doo police car. And I also got my Scooby-Doo Chatter T Scooby right here, okay? He's supposed to His teeth's supposed to chatter on you, but it don't work. I dug this one, so I dug him in the dump. Can you believe they threw Scooby in the dump? But I saved him and gave him a new home. And then I got the Scooby Doo marbles right here that I bought on the Estrie app. And now we'll get back to the story. All right, I'm back. We'll get back to the story now. Oh yeah, I also got my Scooby Doo hat, the Mystery Machine, and my Velma t-shirt. Can y'all see my Velma t-shirt right here? Now, I wanted a Scooby and Shaggy t-shirt, but they only had one in small, so I had to get a large because they shrink. But back to the story. All right, we were going sleuthing. All right. For starters, Scooby Doo premiered during the Cold War era. Okay? Almost exactly 2 months after the Apollo put Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the moon. The first episode of Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Aired right in that timeline. By the time the cartoon premiered, the Soviet Space Agency had been strong for years. Sputnik 1 became the world's first artificial satellite in 1957. And the Nastor 1 spaceflight made Yuri Gagarin the first man in space in 1961. While Gagarin was the first man in space, he wasn't the first being in space. If you know the history of the space race, you also might recall that the Soviets sent a few other cosmonauts into space before Gagarin's flight in 1961. Who were they? They were dogs. They were dogs. Now, Laika, I guess that's the name, Laika, which means barker in French, was a part Samoan, which a husky, I guess, part husky terrier. And that wasn't her real name. Her real name was Little Curly. But the United States called her Muttnik because she was a mutt taken from the streets of Russia, shoddily prepared for space exploration. Unfortunately, Laika, whatever, perished shortly after being launched. Those Russians. This was on Sputnik 2 in 1957. The dogs Belka and Sterlika were similarly sent into space. Belka means squirrel in Russian, and Stelka means little arrow. And they were sent as living test subjects on the Korabit Sputnik 2, aka Sputnik 5 satellite in 1960, and became the first earthborn creatures ever to fly into space and return alive. All right. Now, what does this history lesson have to do with Scooby Doo? Just hold your horses, I'm getting to it. Scooby Doo was part of an experimental project by the Soviets. Yes, you heard that correctly. In the universe of Scooby Doo, it's a possibility that the Soviets also looked into the experimental breeding program that could have produced dogs with greatly enhanced intelligence. It sounds batty, I know, but super intelligent animals could potentially have been a great asset to the Soviet space agency. After all, why risk the life of a trained cosmonaut for a simple test flight when you could send a dog who's smart enough to record data, operate consoles, and understand complex commands over a radio? This actually makes a lot more sense. Humanity tends to have an ugly history of using animals in experiments. But in the course of their secret breeding program, maybe the Soviets unintentionally gave birth to at least one dog who was smart enough to learn and imitate human speech. Now, cue Scooby Doo, the dog who speaks English, but it's definitely rough English, or should we say rough. Scooby Doo's origin story actually is pretty badass. Scooby started his life as a subject in the space agency's breeding program, but escaped when one of the scientists bonded with him as a puppy and decided to take him to America when he defected. Then maybe Scooby ran away when his original owner died of old age. Now, leading him to be adopted by his future best friend, Shaggy, who took Scooby with him when he joined Fred, Velma, and Daphne on their meandering travels through the back roads of America in Fred's beloved van. There is some debate about whose van the Mystery Machine actually was. It's been argued over the years that Daphne's father owns the van, as well as Shaggy. So unless the original animators of Hanna-Barbera release a statement about who actually possesses the van, we will never really know for sure. The CIA began hunting for Scooby Doo after he escaped. Since the U.S. and the Soviets were opponents during the Cold War, getting inside information about what the Soviets were up to was definitely on America's mind. Scooby went on to live a happy life with his new friends, but the CIA also never gave up on the hope of getting their hands on a Soviet superdog for research. Though we never saw it on the show, there were more than a few American G-men who spent years futilely trying to find the Mystery Machine as it continued on its travels. If you ever wondered why the show was titled Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Of all things, that's why. Despite the misleading name, the Great Dane is actually German bred, actually a German breed. The Germans were responsible for most early research into rocket technology. During World War II and many of the Soviet space agency's Researchers were German-born scientists recruited by the Russians. It's possible that Scooby's parents were brought over from Germany, along with the researchers who helped breed them. This would explain how our favorite cartoon dog ended up in the hands of the Soviets in the first place. As mentioned earlier, Scooby Doo can speak English like his four human friends, but he's a tad harder to understand. The way Scooby talks, he almost gives off the impression that he's intelligent enough to learn the English language, but doesn't have a mouth adapted for human speech, because that's exactly the case. He was bred for his learning capability, not for his flawless elocution. He understands human languages, but can't speak them perfectly, just like me. I can't speak the English language perfectly, because I just can't. But I'm smart. So whenever you hear Scooby Doo talk, you are really hearing and witnessing the USSR's Cold War effects. Let that sink in for a moment. Since now fan theory doesn't address a pup named Scooby Doo, the interviewee argument in the article doesn't hold up with this 80s cartoon out in the world, a pup named Scooby Doo. Unless the character was all in the imagination of young Scooby Doo while he was being held captive by the Soviets, he would daydream about a happier life with people who loved him, until he actually got one after escaping. Hope y'all enjoyed the story of Scooby Doo. See you back.